defensive players for each team. We tend to focus on who's scoring all the tries, but the guys doing all the defensive work are just as, if not more important. So who's the key man for each team? In terms of defense, it's not that easy to kind of quantify. Like you look at tries and it's black and white, who scored how many tries. With defense, it's a number of factors, but I'm mainly concentrating here just on tackles. How many tackles did they make, and what was their average, per game. So it's an interesting mix. When we looked at tries in my other video, it made sense that the teams who did well, generally, scored the most tries, and then the teams who finished at the bottom of the table also finished bottom with number of tries, which, like I said, if you finish with low tries, you're probably going to finish near the bottom of the table. But tackles is a big old mix. You've got high-ranked teams here and high-ranked teams here. Low-ranked teams on this side, low-ranked teams on that side. So it's a big mix. It's a lot of loose forwards, which kind of makes sense, but there's a couple of not loose forwards there just to mix things up. So let's have a look. Luc White, 13.9 tackles per game. It's not really surprising, just in that the Highlanders play a game largely without the ball. So if you don't have the ball, you need someone to make the tackles. He's not that real dynamic style player, which is probably why he never really got his starting spot secured at the Crusaders. But at the Highlanders, he does exactly what they ask of him, and he fits the mould for what they need. So yeah, number one tackling guy in the comp. Doesn't miss too many tackles, pretty good tackle effectiveness rate, and doesn't give away too many penalties. Vander Vault from the Sharks, 12.8 tackles. Seems like an angry man. When his name came up on the tackle sheet, I was not surprised that it was him. I feel like he enjoys making tackles. He also, he's got real long arms. I feel like he enjoys just putting the old arm into people's faces as he drives on past them. Neither would be a pleasant experience, but yeah, 12.8 times per game he's making someone's life unpleasant. Seems to be something that he would be good at. Matt Todd, 12.2. So this is where I say it gets kind of a bit surprising, just in terms of why is the team who won the comp got a guy third for overall tackles? Shouldn't they be dominant? Shouldn't they have the ball? Why are they needing to make so many tackles? It's just a testament to the kind of player Matt Todd is, largely. He slightly forgotten man of New Zealand rugby at times, living in the shadow of guys like Richie McCaw and Sam Cane. So yeah, but he's just doing what he does. He just tackles. Just gets to work without being all flashy. So he's kind of the opposite of like an Artie Savia, he just does his job. Doesn't really make the bullocking runs or anything, but he makes a whole lot of tackles. Nizaam Carr from the Stormers. I compared him with Sio Kolisi a while back, just saying how he's not kind of as dynamic, but you can see from that he's got that engine that just doesn't quit. So he's a real hard-working player. Shows in the stats. Makes a lot of tackles. Penalty count could be a bit lower, but I mean it's partly because he's involved in everything. And missed tackles a touch higher than some of the other guys, but again, given his work rate, he's going for more tackles, so he's likely to miss the odd tackle more than some other guys. George Smith at the Reds, 11.3 tackles per game, so having a Reds player here kind of makes sense. Don't have the ball that much, weak team, needing to tackle more. But, I mean, the guy was 36 last year, so that is impressive. He's still got an engine on him at 36 to be making more tackles than a lot of guys who are 10 years younger than him or more. So it's a testament to the guy, man. He's just a real hard-working player. Again, penalties high, but as an open side, he's one of the best open sides. He's going for that ball, and sometimes he's going to push it, and sometimes he's going to get caught. So he takes that risk. Murphy for the Rebels. It is no surprise to see him there, just because he topped pretty much all their stats last season. If you look for the Rebels page on run meters or offloads or tackle busts, line breaks, tackles, you're pretty much guaranteed that he's going to be top 3, usually number 1 for the Rebels. So in a pretty poor team, he was doing a lot of the work. He was kind of the one shining light of their pretty poor season last year. Gibson from the Blues, slightly more dynamic than some of the other guys on the board, but solid defensive player, makes a fair few tackles, obviously. Doesn't get penalised that much, but again, not as maybe cutting edge at the breakdown as some other guys. But he's making the tackles, he's doing a fine job. Steenkamp at the Bulls. Now, he's a big man, so when he hits hard. And often when he tackles someone, when he really puts his full body into it and goes at them, those offensive tackles, the ball often moves on from the tackle he's just made, it comes out and halfback flicks it away. But you can't help but watch the guy he's just tackled, just to see if he gets up straight away or if he kind of limps or something, because of all these guys, I feel like I wouldn't want to get tackled by Steenkamp the most. Yeah, he's another one who's probably getting some anger out on the pitch, but that's fine. Very good defensive player. Sam Cane at the Chiefs. Again, open side, lots of tackles, too many penalties, and again, a few more missed tackles than he'd probably like, but kind of goes with the territory that he's trying to be involved, so he's putting himself at risk of missing more tackles than he should. Sam Carter at the Brumbies at 10.2 is our first non-Lucy on the list. When you see him, he doesn't strike you as a guy who's going to be like a hard-hitting tackler, but he's just one of those kind of hard-grafting workhorse players. So he gets about the business. He wouldn't be top of the Brumbies list. There would have been Chris Alcock, who had a really good season last year, but he's gone. So from remaining players, it's Carter. Michael Hooper at the Waratahs at 10.1 tackles a game. Again, with him, he's one that goes for a lot of tackles, so he ends up with a few missed or kind of like ineffective tackles. But he's pretty quick for a flanker, so he'll try and tackle someone who's just run past them. He'll try to catch up to them, so that kind of affects his stats slightly negatively, but he's still, making 10.1 tackles a game, so good work rate for him. Eddie Quirk at the Sunwolves, 9.6, so it's not bad. Sunwolves were the second highest tackling team last season behind the Highlanders, but they were also number 1 at missing tackles. So even old Eddie, when he was making 9.6, he was missing 3.5 tackles. So yeah, a fair bit of time on the back foot for old Eddie. But he's always, even when he was at the Reds, that was his thing. He was a tackler. That's what he did. Now, De La Fuente from the Jaguares is our only back on the list. So he makes 9.5 tackles a game. He misses 3. So not great. But, I mean, for any backs to make this list is impressive. Doesn't look that great for his Lucies. Should possibly be a bit of a nudge that they could be working a bit harder. And his tackle effectiveness rate is only 68. Pretty much everyone else on the board is in the 70s or 80s. So, they're not letting a guy get an offload, or if they're getting a guy down, he's having to release the ball. He's not getting up and running again. So at 68, it implies that when he's tackling a guy, something is still happening with the ball that the other team's able to capitalize on. So still good on him for being on the board. 9.5 for a back's pretty good. The Hurricanes, get a team that dominated a lot, scored a lot of tries, so probably didn't make as many tackles as other teams. Fadi Alofa is the other lock to make the board. It doesn't look like he's working that hard when he's on the field, because he's kind of as opposed to Carter, he's kind of a lumbering style looking player. But Obviously, he's got a higher work rate than I gave him credit for, so good for him. Keep on at it. They're going to need him in the locking department this year because they're looking a bit short there. So hopefully he has a big season. And lastly, so the other finalist from last year, the Lions, and the captain, Warren Whiteley, for the games that he got, he was tackling 9.2 players a game. Probably speaks more to the effectiveness as the unit overall, and the fact that the Lions had the ball a lot, that he was not making that many tackles. I wouldn't look at this and go, man, the Lions and the Hurricanes are rubbish, they're not making a lot of tackles. So yeah, it's an interesting list. A lot of guys here who, aren't the franchise face of their team. They're not the first five. They're not the winger who's getting all the credit. These are the guys who are getting their heads into places that they probably wouldn't want to put them, putting their body on the line, and making some crunching tackles. So yeah, we'll see how they go this season. See if anyone is likely to bump them off as a new tackling machine. But these are the incumbents. We'll see how they go for 2018. Let me know who you wouldn't want to get tackled by. For me, it's Steenkamp. But there's plenty of other guys. I wouldn't really want to get tackled by any of them, to be fair. But yeah, interesting list anyway. Okay, guys. Next season or next week's games are not too far away, so I'll be looking at a preview for them at some point in the next couple of days. And thanks for your comments recently. And yeah, I'll catch you guys again soon. Cheers.